There's a fungus in the sea that doesn't stay there. I knew it was them the moment I saw the envelope. On it, my name, handwritten in black ink. It was waiting on my desk when I returned from lecture, tucked beneath a folder I hadn't touched in years. The others thought it was a grant letter. One of my colleagues joked that I finally sold my soul to Big Pharma. If only he knew. I laughed along. I didn't open it right away. I waited until I got home, locked the door, turned off the lights. I slid a knife under the flap and peeled it open. Inside was a single sentence, printed on a thick card. You were requested for field analysis at Site AV. Nothing else, except for a faded red stamp. A white trident piercing upward from beneath the waves. The order. My hands went cold. I sat on the kitchen floor for nearly an hour, card in one hand, breath caught somewhere between my ribs. I promised I wouldn't, I whispered. I thought I'd left it all behind. They said one final mission, and you're out. But I guess they tricked me, like they do with everyone. They don't threaten you, but they gently remind you that you still owe them. That they know what you did in Madagascar. That someone, somewhere, still has the unredacted footage. That your sister's college tuition wasn't a miracle after all. The next morning, a courier delivered a package with nothing but a burner phone inside. It buzzed the moment I took it from him. A voice spoke through the static.
You will be escorted to Site AV within 48 hours. Your credentials have been reinstated. Bring no outside electronics. You will be briefed en route. This anomaly has been designated red algae.
I didn't say a word. There was nothing I could really say. Before the call ended, the voice added something else.
Oh, and Iris. Official records list the town as uninhabited. Disregard local activity and don't engage unless authorized.
I held the phone until the call cut. Afterwards, I stared at the wall for a long time. Then I packed. Not much, just what I really needed. Gloves, notebooks, a flashlight. I left my laptop, my real phone. Left the necklace my sister gave me. No personal items, nothing that might compromise emotional clarity, as the order put it. Exactly 48 hours later, I was in the back of a van with no windows. The air smelled faintly of ammonia and cold metal. The walls were lined with that typical dull, institutional grey the order loved to follow. 2 others sat with me, a man and woman, both armored. Guards, clearly, with order-issued weapons and black masks clipped to their belts. One of them glanced at me a few times before speaking up. "You're Iris, right?" he asked. I didn't answer at first, then nodded. "Was," I replied. He nodded back, quiet for a moment. "I didn't think they'd pull you back in. Not after the incident in Madagascar." I looked away, slightly ashamed. He must have realized how it sounded. Because he added, "Still alive. That's what matters." The woman next to him unzipped a flat pouch and handed me a sealed envelope. Inside was a thick briefing file and a single-page mission card. The first line read, Site AV, Active Environmental Anomaly, Protocol, Brine Burst. I flipped through the pages as the van rattled along the gravel road. The report was stitched together from field notes, satellite analysis, and biohazard logs. I won't bore you with all the details. Here's the important part. There was an outbreak of an anomalous marine fungus resembling red algae in a coastal town. Symptoms include tissue degradation, behavioral regression, vocal disruption, and systemic mutation. The town was designated uninhabited, and a quarantine perimeter was enforced. Satellite images were falsified. Civilians were listed as relocated. I turned the page and felt my stomach drop. 83 confirmed casualties. 12 unrecovered. The subjects remained in a degenerative state, with their vocal cords either ruptured or restructured. Their behavior was listed as erratic, but not overly hostile. The objective is simple: to collect fungal samples, assess the mutation, and determine what was the main cause of the outbreak. At the bottom of the briefing, a single line was handwritten in red ink. We only ask because we can't afford to lose any more of our own. I closed the file and sat in silence for the rest of the ride. We reached the outskirts of the town just before dawn. The van slowed to a crawl, and I saw a checkpoint ahead, or what remained of it. Chain-link fencing bent inwards like something had pressed against it. A sandbag guard post, half collapsed. The town itself was a mess. Roofs collapsed, the order's insignia burned off the side of a metal panel, windows shattered with dry blood coloring them red. It was a surreal sight. This is what true abandonment looks like. The van stopped and the guards moved first. I stepped out after, my boots sinking into the mud below. The air hit me hard, filled with salt, rot, and something sweeter. The algae, I thought to myself. Ahead, the road led into the town, narrow streets lined with leaning lampposts. I spotted the algae within seconds, though it wasn't hard. It was growing up the sides of buildings, bleeding from the edges of alleyways, and scattered all over the ground. In some places, it pulsed faintly, like a slow heartbeat. My escort spoke through his mask.
Stay on the marked paths. We'll enter the city center first.
I nodded, my eyes scanning everything. It was a sad sight to see schools, parks, and swing sets uninhabited. Do people still live here? I asked. The guard hesitated, tilting his head slightly.
Officially, no.
And unofficially? He didn't answer. We moved deeper into the town, boots splashing through puddles laced with a red hue. We passed a general store with broken glass in the doorway. Inside, I saw algae wrapped around the shelves like it had grown from within. Then the first signs of movement. Something shifted 2 blocks down. A figure, resembling a human with a bent spine, shuffled across the fog. It didn't look at us, just shuffled into the mist. One of the guards raised his weapon. Don't, I said sharply. He lowered it.
I wasn't going to, not unless it gets closer.
We continued in silence, the fog thickening as we moved between crumbling buildings. A house marked primary infection site came into view, the door barely hanging on.
We'll keep watch,
the woman said.
10 minutes.
I entered fast, and the smell instantly hit me, making me gag. Red algae covered the walls and floor, thick like meat. Although I took all the necessary precautions, this amount of exposure does pose a substantial threat. I crouched and scraped a sample into a vial. It twitched. From the other room, I heard a door creak. I froze, looking into the direction of the noise, which suddenly transformed into a gurgling sound. I held still. Something was on the other side, shuffling and dragging itself across the floor. The gurgling shifted into a wet, rasping breath, followed by something that might have been a short word, but I couldn't make it out. I slowly moved down the hallway, careful not to make any sudden movement or sound. The rasping stopped, but something else appeared, just beyond the frame of the doorway at the end of the hall. I saw a shadow twitching, approaching me from the dark. I held my breath. Then it appeared. Its head was covered in algae, the skin stretching over something luminous underneath, as if it had swallowed a light source. It didn't have any hair, its features distorted. One of its arms dragged behind it, fused at the elbow with a slick growth that twitched like it was alive. A broken tile beneath me squirmed. Fuck! The thing jerked toward me with a speed that didn't match its broken frame. I stumbled back, now faster because it was too late to be cautious. I screamed. Don't remember what, for the guards to come inside. They burst through the doorway as the infected thing lunged, its throat gurgling with anticipation. I closed my eyes and heard gunfire, which only staggered the beast. I scrambled to the side as one of the guards pulled me back by my collar, dragging me outside as the second one emptied another clip. He didn't wait to check if it was down. Instead, he turned and ordered us to retreat. Behind him, other figures were already emerging. 2, maybe 3. I wasn't sure. All of them were covered in the same pulsing red growth, like the algae had hollowed them out and was wearing them like skin.
Don't get distracted,
the woman shouted.
Back to the vehicle now!
By the time we made it back to the van and sealed the doors, I was gasping for air, mask slick with sweat. One of the guards checked my suit for any breaches while the other cursed under her breath.
We weren't supposed to be this close to the perimeter,
the woman muttered.
We'll report it to base. No point in arguing about it now,
the man replied. I reached for my sample kit and looked at the sealed vial, the one I had taken from the wall inside. It was glowing, faintly, but I was sure of it. The driver sped off, tires slicing through the algae-covered mud. He swerved the car a few times, I assume avoiding the creatures which gathered there due to the commotion.
They're pursuing,
the driver said over comms.
I see movement on the rooftops.
Rooftops? The guards opened the rear doors to look. There were at least 5 or 6 of them coming after us, though it was hard to see in the fog. One of them climbed onto a collapsed home and watched us from afar. They weren't fast at all, but extremely relentless. They didn't stop, like the algae had pushed them to their maximum, pulsing behind them with every step. A few of them slammed into the van, tilting the vehicle for a moment, tires slipping in the mud. Luckily, the driver held control. Through the fog, I saw pale yellow floodlights, the checkpoint. The gate opened just in time for us to slip through it, stopping inside the quarantine garage. A hydraulic door slammed shut behind us. I finally let out a breath of relief, something I couldn't for the last few minutes.
Everyone out. Contamination protocol.
The garage flooded with sterilizing mist as we stepped out, coughing slightly under the chemical spray. Inside, it was colder than I remembered. We passed through triage. A technician peeled off the outer layers of my gear and stuck me with a needle before I could object.
Blood sample,
She muttered.
What did you bring back?
Enough, I said, and lifted the sample case. More than enough.
Good job. We'll process it from here.
That was it. No more questions, no debriefing, nothing. Eventually, they told me I was clear. There was no breach or visible symptoms, so I could go. The van that dropped me off wasn't the same one that picked me up. This one had windows, at least. My clothes were returned in a vacuum-sealed bag. Where do I go now? I asked the driver before I stepped outside. He shrugged. Wherever you please, but don't forget, you were never here. 2 weeks later, I was back in the lecture hall, explaining fungal adaptations in extreme climates when my voice faltered. It was too similar. The slide behind me showed a microscopic image of a lichen colony. I thought it pulsed, even though it couldn't. It was a still image, after all. The students didn't notice. They were half asleep, phones in hand, or zoning out entirely. I moved on. After class, I walked back to my office, heart beating a bit too fast. I told myself it was stress, nothing more. But something was on my desk. Another envelope. Same handwriting, in the same black ink. I didn't open it right away this time either. But again, I knew what it meant. The same overwhelming feeling of despair came over me. The Order wasn't done with me, and probably won't be. And that was There's a Fungus in the Sea That Doesn't Stay There by TheBigKraven. Are we talking like BigKraven the Hunter, or are we talking about a different kind of Craven? It's not the first time I've heard that word, so I'm really curious if you give me an answer. So, this story is great because, yet again, it's, the title immediately kind of reached out to me because I'm like, oh, okay, there's this fungus that doesn't stay there. Does that mean that, it moves? Does it, actively go and, I suppose, make colonies somewhere? Because that's what fungal spores and mycelium and things like that do, right? They just, the point is they just, I'm not going to say endless. It's not like they're endless, but, they have this easy way of being able to spread and grow and things like that. So the fact that one can properly move on its own is what I initially thought. And yet again, I wasn't entirely right, which is fine. But it's, yet again, it takes over this, from my understanding, at least this town, right? This town, this area, which is really interesting. It's affected the people. It's able to kill people as well, which is understandable. It probably produces a variety of toxins, and it can be very dangerous to people. And yet again, as we learn later on, it can also mutate people and blah blah blah. It's really great. It's really really interesting. I love this kind of stuff. It immediately made me think of the game Hollow Body, because yet again, you're tasked with basically going into a place, and no, that's not entirely true. In Hollow Body, you are choosing to go into a zone that is very dangerous and has been afflicted by some kind of ailment. I don't remember if it was fungal in nature, but there was certainly some real bad shenanigans going on, biologically speaking. And so the difference between that and this is simply, besides the fact that it might not have been fungal in Hollow Body, is the fact that in this story, they didn't exactly have a choice. They kind of were forced into doing this job, which, is a bit of a shame, but yet again, it leads to an interesting story nonetheless. And yet again, we don't learn everything, which I think is fine. I've always enjoyed the fact that some stories should keep an air of mystery, right? I don't think there should be too much mystery, but I think little bits of mystery here and there are perfectly suitable and fine and great, because then you can kind of speculate, you can fill in the blanks, come up with your own theories and stuff like that. It's great. But what else I really liked about the story is that the dialogue's really nice. The words, the terminology, just a lot of things in here are great. They really make you feel like you're kind of out of your element. You're out of your depth. There's a lot more going on than we might understand, and it truly feels like something quite believable. Really, it really does. Humanity would for sure probe things that they shouldn't do. And it's just, yeah, it's a thing that we like to do. And to be fair, we do that so that we can learn, we can understand, we can perhaps protect from future threats and things like that. And that's what I feel like is, for the most part, going on here. And it's fantastic. It's just fantastic and it's fun. And I really, really enjoyed reading this one. So thank you, BigKraven. Thank you for that. Besides Hollow Body, this also made me think of, I gotta say the most obvious one that I'm sure most of us would know, The Last of Us. Which yet again, it's a little bit more drastic in The Last of Us. The fact that it's like it's not just like one town that's been affected by this fungal infection. It's I don't know if it's exactly the whole world, but far more places are affected by this fungal infection, which has caused obviously mutations in people. It's caused it kills people and things like that. So it's similar vibes. It also made me think of like Resident Evil in a kind of way, but yet again, that's more about like a genetically modified virus basically that was created, whereas it's not like something that initially acts in nature. I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. I don't fully understand the T virus or the G virus or the whatever viruses. Maybe for all I know they do exist in nature, but I don't believe they do. I believe they are created 100% artificially. But even so, it yet again takes over an area, things go wrong because usually somebody at Umbrella Corp fucks up or somebody else gets a hold of it and they sell it to a highest bidder, all kinds of stupid shenanigans. Another one it made me think of, but for different reasons, is the movie Annihilation. Because, so in Annihilation, there isn't really a fungal infection. It's more like aliens. Aliens is kind of causing this bizarre phenomenon on Earth. In a specific area on Earth, to be specific. I think it was called... So it's like this kind of glowy, shimmery kind of an area. And within it, like... nature and creatures and things like that, everything is different on the inside, like biologically speaking, and it's so interesting, it's so fascinating, really weird, kind of it's very sci-fi horror-ish. I wouldn't call it a full-on horror. It does have horror moments though, but it's just really weird and really interesting, and it definitely made me think about that. The last one, hilariously enough, that I feel like I have to bring up that it made me think about is, and we'll see how many of you are with me here, is The Happening. So, for those of you who don't know what The Happening is, in 2008, the lovely M. Night Shyamalan decided to release a film with Mark Wahlberg, and it's kind of a thriller, not really, I guess, depending on your definitions of horror, there could be a level of horror in it. It's the fact that, like, massive amounts of people are dying, but they're offing themselves, right? They're not like, it's suddenly massive amounts of people in, I think it's like major cities and stuff like that, just kind of begin, offing themselves. Some of them like walk off the top of buildings and stuff like that. They walk into traffic, just any way to randomly die. And obviously it causes quite a scare, and they believe there's like bioterrorism going on and everything like that. I'm not going to spoil it, but some of you will know why I thought of this. Because nature is very much involved. It certainly makes the movie a bit silly when you kind of learn what's causing it to happen. It's something very interesting movie, and nonetheless, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It does remind me that not every movie is going to be top notch, incredible. I still didn't know. It's still a decent movie. It's well acted and performed and everything. It's just, yeah, the plot's a little. It's really good for the most part until you kind of realize what's going on, and then it kind of just deflates itself very quickly. Anyway, yeah. So I've those are my thoughts. Those are my takes on this little segment. I have been Nate at Night. I've had a fantastic time reading for you, and I sure hope you've enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, your comments down below. If you're listening / watching from Spotify or some other kind of podcasting platform, hi, leave a comment. I'd really like to know. I do see them, and I do like hearing from you guys. It really kind of helps me understand, how you feeling, if there's any improvements or feedback. So it's always nice, always nice. Or even just yet again, if it's made you think of something. I really like knowing other things I might not have read or seen or played or whatever, and it's more things I can look into. Thank you so much for your time. Take care out there. Shout out to these cool peeps. Seriously, we wouldn't have got this far without them. You're all amazing. I love you all so much. Honestly, it's tremendous work you do. Supporting the channel, keeping us afloat. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. You too could become a cool peep for just $1 a month. What that's going to get you is 2 weeks early access to future videos. It's also going to get you exclusive members-only content. And there might be extra goodies coming along the way. What can I say? I'm just charitable like that. Or you can become super cool. Now that's $5 a month, but what you're going to get out of that is all the perks from the previous tier, plus also 10% discount on future merchandise, and also access to my private Discord server with a fantastic little community that we have, where I plan on hosting monthly movie nights and also weekly casual hangouts. You can also show your support by tipping through either Super Chats, Super Thanks, both on YouTube, or through my Streamlabs.com URL, which will be in the description of future videos below. Cheers for now, guys!